Welcome into Texans Today. This is our instant reaction video after the Texans give me another heart attack on Thursday Night Football, but they pull out the win 23-19 on a defensive effort. Battle Reds in effect. And the Bills lose once again in NRG, and Josh Allen once again put in clamps. And if you're pumped after that win, if you almost had a heart attack whenever the Bills converted 4th and 27, you deserve this. Go down and spam those W's, because the Texans, they don't make it easy on us. They, every single game, man, they want to test our mental fortitude. They want to test our hearts, our blood pressure. But I love this team, man. This team gives everything. This team gives all their heart, all their soul to every single game. And I mean, I know it comes down to the end every single game, but this Texans team, they show you, they leave you everything they have on the field every single time they go out and play. And I mean, that's all you can ask. D'Amico Ryans has these guys playing like their hair's on fire. The Week 12 comparisons, the offense, I know it looks like the Bills outgained the Texans and just, absolutely went up and down the field, but the Texans had short fields the whole entire game. The defense gave them the ball twice in Bills territory. Now, unfortunately, you only got a couple field goals from that. You got a pick where Kalen Bullock returns it for a touchdown, and it was a block in the back, so you didn't get that touchdown. It ended up being 3, and then you also got another, opportunity on a fumble picked up by the rookie Jalen Reed. So you got another opportunity, obviously 3 takeaways by the Texans in this matchup, and the pick by Kalen Bullock to ice the game. This Texans team, man, they show everything. They show their heart. They show their soul. And I know the conversation is going to flow into this. And I'm going to just go ahead and, talk about it head on. We're going to talk about Davis Mills. And I know we're going to talk about Davis Mills for the next week and a half up until that Indianapolis Colts game, which we'll talk about the Colts, about the rest of this Week 12 and what we might want to see happen in this AFC playoff race. But Davis Mills tonight, the numbers aren't the most pretty, 16 of 30, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. But, I mean, dude, he's winning games. And that's all you can ask from a backup quarterback. He's winning those games now. He's not winning them decisively. He's giving you a heart attack every single week. But we're still winning these games. And, we'll talk about it later on in the week. We'll continue to discuss as C.J. Stroud begins to come out of that concussion protocol. But, the question's going to be asked. Davis Mills, should he start for the Houston Texans in Week 13 up against the Indianapolis Colts? Now, he wasn't the only bright spot into today's game on the offensive side. He played well, obviously not turning the ball over. That is vastly important for the Texans offense. Woody Marks had himself a day. I told y'all the running backs were going to have a good day today. 16 carries, 74 yards, 4.6 yards per carry for Marks. I wish they would have been able to keep him going in the second half a little bit more. But, man, this Texans offensive line, we might have found the new unit. And I think it's for the rest of the year, unless injury happens, we'll probably see this offensive line with Ariante Ursery, Titus Howard at left guard, Jake Andrews at center, Ed Ingram at right guard, and then Trent Brown at right tackle. The Texans, they were able to open up some running lanes. We also got a decent game out of Christian Kirk. 5 receptions, 54 yards, and a tutty. Came in clutch when you needed him. Another big name on this offense that I thought played really well was Jaden Higgins, man. The rookie, he had the other touchdown in this game. He was solid for this Texans team, man. Had a couple of big catches, 4 receptions, 38 yards. Also had that touchdown. The Texans offense, even though it wasn't pretty, and like I said, if you were able to convert some of those turnovers into touchdowns, wouldn't have been this close, but still, they got it done. We're going to talk about the playoff race, what it means now that the Texans got this dub. Before we get into that, though, quick word from our sponsor over at Prize Picks. Couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsor, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. The weather might be a changing, but the feeling of being right, that never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 in lineups instantly when you play your first $5. All you got to do, use that code CLNS. It's super simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you can cash in big time. Prize Picks is the only app that also offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in a lineup. Want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards? Maybe you should have gotten less on Josh Allen's pass yards and then his rush yards. You can do that all in the same lineup on Prize Picks. And this was my lineup for tonight's matchup. And I want to say the only thing I didn't get was the Nico Collins touchdown. I didn't check Josh Allen's passing yards at the end of the game. We'll take a look at that here in just a moment, but it was a Nico Collins touchdown away from cashing out big time. But I still had a lot of fun, and, I'd do it again because I love the feeling of hitting on Prize Picks. So if you want that feeling, if you want to cash in on your sports opinions, go ahead and download the Prize Picks app today. Use that code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And the Texans, they allowed 326 yards, but 8 sacks on the day, man. 8 sacks. They are celebrating. D'Amico's just throwing out game balls like he's Oprah in the locker room right now. You get a game ball. You get a game ball. You get a game ball. And all these guys deserve it, man. This team, they showed up tonight in front of a national audience, and they stopped. Up until that, the hook and ladder is what screwed me, man. We were talking about my Prize Picks. Josh Allen, they had him in clamps for most of the night. 2 picks, 67.4 quarterback rating, 24-34, 253 yards. I think it would have been the less if they didn't hit that hook and ladder, man. I think the hook and ladder is what screwed me, but it still was a good time watching here on Prize Picks. And I told y'all all week, man, Josh Allen, this Texans defense has his number. They do, especially when they play in Houston. Now, his go-to guy, his only guy that he could really rely on the entire game was Khalil Shakir. It was either Khalil Shakir or James Cook. They were the only 2 parts of this Bills offense that had any motion, had any movement. Khalil Shakir, 8 receptions, 110 yards. He was the recipient of that hook and ladder on the 4th and 27 that gave me an absolute heart attack. And then James Cook had the lone offensive touchdown with I believe it was a 50-yard run on one of the Bills' first drives, ran it in for a touchdown, and that really kind of led up the average there. But the Texans did a decent job in stopping him throughout the rest of the game. The other touchdown, you may ask, came on a kick return from Ray Davis, a 98-yarder, which at the time was absolute backbreaking. But also the Texans, like I said, can never be easy. Can never be easy. And the Texans started off 0-3, and a lot of people kind of written them off. They're like, no way the Texans start off 0-3 and make it to the playoffs, because you'll see this stat throughout the entire week. I've told y'all this. If you've been watching the show, you probably heard it about 50 times so far this season. Only one team since the year 2000 has made the playoffs after starting 0-3. The 2018 Houston Texans. They're the only team to do so. Can they do it again? And it's looking like they got a chance, because after this win, they are 1 game away from a wild card spot, sitting right there behind Jacksonville, man. I'm telling you, man, this team's giving me some belief. This team's giving me some belief. And I want to know right now, down in the chat, do you believe the Texans can make the playoffs? Just give me a yes, give me a no down below. Give me a yes, give me a no. Do you believe the Texans can make the playoffs? Because if I asked y'all this 4 weeks ago, I think it would have been a resounding no. I don't think many people would have given the Texans the time of day, would have said the Texans have the slightest bit of a chance. But man, they're having me believe again. They are having me believe again. And we were so down and out, and I'm glad I never gave up on this team. I'll say that. I'm glad I never gave up on this team. I'm glad we stuck it out. I'm glad we kept the wheels on the wagon, because it was rough. I'm not going to lie, guys. And a lot of y'all were right there with me. It was not easy cheering on this Texans team after they got their 3rd loss in a row to start the season. All of them 1-score games, all of them coming on, a final drive that ended the game where the Texans ended up losing. And, they control their own destiny. I do have that List 4 logo I want to show real quick because the Texans, obviously, they took care of business on Thursday night. They needed to do this. Now it's on to Indianapolis. Week 13 at the Colts. They are currently leading the division. Then you play Sunday Night Football up against the Kansas City Chiefs. And if it comes down to Week 14, Sunday Night Football up for a playoff spot, us against the Chiefs, I hope you're ready. Buckle up because it is going to be one hell of a ride, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I have for you on today's show. Texans, give me a heart attack once again. That's why you got to hit that subscribe button. Daily Texans content. We're live for every single game. Make sure you pull up. And a reminder, next week up against the Colts, I will be doing my giveaway for the J.J. Watt autograph picture. So make sure you show up. Make sure you're there to get your final raffle tickets for the J.J. Watt autograph.